educational. Sorry, I just got the note that we were recording. So I was just saying, I love businesses who really get involved with their community. I've seen Colette do that. Oh my God, I just came to the store. I'm at BraTopia. I absolutely love the products here, and I'm making my Christmas wish list. So anyway, a little bit about the purpose of this discussion tonight, the experience. So I'm, as Lucinda said, I am an entrepreneur. My first career is as a communications consultant. My second career is as a rapid transformational therapist. So I'm also a certified hypnotherapist. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that just a little bit later on. But first, I wanted to do a quick run through on what you can expect tonight. You likely saw the invitation, so just so you know what to expect, Lucinda was letting everyone know to get comfy. So for about the last 15 minutes or so, I'm going to be taking you through what is a guided meditation. So you'll want to be able to get into a place. I'm leaning back here. I'm in a chair, but you'd want to be leaning back so you could have your head supported or be nice and comfortable. You don't have to have your camera on. But what I'm going to kind of take you through as it relates to loving your body is a guided meditation, which is a little portion of the type of therapy I do with people to essentially help recode our beliefs, get some ideas in there that help us feel better about ourselves, have a little bit of a different experience of life. And don't worry, you would never, ever take on any kind of a suggestion that you didn't want to take on. But in order to get the full experience for that part of the presentation, you'll definitely want to be comfortable and supported, and you can feel free to turn off your camera then. So we're going to talk a little bit about what we're going to go over tonight is, a lot of people, women in particular, but also men, I've seen more and more male clients lately, have some issues around self-esteem as it relates to how they feel about their body, or experiences with difficulty shedding weight. And you'll notice I didn't use the word lose. I will get to that later. But difficulty shedding weight and keeping it off in a sustained way. So what we do in a rapid transformational therapy session is I work with clients around a variety of issues that they're experiencing, and weight wellness is a big area of focus for people. And so essentially what we end up doing is we understand kind of what the root cause of your issue is and go through a process to help eradicate beliefs that you have acquired at some point in your life that are guiding how you're making decisions and what your habits are. And then we can do a recoding program. And then I give people a recording to listen to after the session. So that's going to be part of the session. And you're going to have a recording you could listen to that's going to help wire in things like, I love being in my skin. I feel so great about myself. I see myself eating really well, moving my body, loving how I'm treating it. So that's that part. But we're going to talk a little bit about some of the rules of the mind. I'm going to go over with you some information that has to do with how we're actually hardwired to do things that would cause us to gain weight, essentially crave sugar and fat. It's really good. Information is knowledge that gives us power when we're dealing with these things, because a lot of people hold a lot of shame about their bodies and, feeling like they've had quote unquote failed attempts to make changes. So understanding our wiring, where we come from, how prevalent of an issue this is actually for a lot of people, male and female alike. I'm going to go over a little bit of information, really brief, on some of the more common eating disorders that I see in people, as well as the types of eaters that exist. I'm going to leave you with some hacks, some food nutrition hacks, as well as some mental psychological hacks that you can use to maybe kickstart changing some of those habits if that's an issue for you. And then we're going to have the guided meditation. So I just wanted to give you a sense, and I'll cue you guys to get comfortable when we go into that part. So a little bit more about rapid transformational therapy so you can understand what this is. So It is a therapy that was developed by a woman named Marissa Peer. She's been doing this very, very successfully for 36 years now. She's been a therapist to rock stars and members of the royal family. She's actually from the UK. And the way she kind of stumbled, or the way she developed this therapy, is she moved to Los Angeles back in the 80s. It's actually an interesting story. And she was doing aerobics instructing at a Jane Fonda fitness studio. And so what she noticed there is so many people around her had body dysmorphia, eating disorders. Like every single person, it seemed like everybody who she encountered was having some kind of an issue with either food or their body issue. And Marissa had been trained in psychology, but she was really curious about why this is so prevalent in people. So she went ahead and she actually trained in hypnotherapy. And she started to treat people at this gym, and she started to see really great, rapid results with them, overcoming long-standing eating disorders, habits that people have had. And then she continued to work with people in a variety of different areas. So rapid transformational therapy can really be used to treat people for anything you consider ever seeing a therapist for. So I've worked with people around issues like performance at work, confidence, weight wellness, and obtaining healthier habits, overcoming other addictions such as nicotine, alcohol, drug addiction, insomnia. So you can really use this therapy to treat any kind of issue that people are looking for help with. And it's in the name, Rapid Transformational Therapy. So as I was saying, part of the therapy is delivered under hypnosis. And what that does is hypnosis is just a relaxed state of the nervous system. And it gets our brainwave state into either an alpha state or a theta wave state. And what happens when we get into that brainwave state is we're able to access our subconscious mind. So my conscious mind is the mind that's sitting here. I see Lucinda there. I can see what time it is on the clock. I know my name, time, and space. But our subconscious mind is that real emotional driver that we have. And people, we're not always in connection with that part of our mind. But the reason why we want to get into connection with that part of our mind is that's the place where our belief systems and patterns are actually developed. And these things happen often at a very young age. And we're not connected or aware typically of what those underlying, it's kind of like the underlying operating system of a computer. So what rapid transformational therapy does and going into hypnosis does is it opens up that connection where we can actually have a dialogue with that subconscious part of your mind, the emotional driver, the part of you that, say, for example, keeps on going to cigarettes when you maybe know with your conscious mind that that's not something that you want to do, or that part of you that procrastinates on the thing that you really want to get done, even though you really want to get it done. So it's accessing that emotional driver, it's the foundational kind of belief systems that we have running. So it's highly effective. And I think all people in therapy all have really great intentions, but what's different about RTT is I don't see people on an ongoing basis over an extended period of time. Typically, I'll see people for an issue 1 to maybe 2 times. And I've seen some clients for one issue and they've had really great results after listening to the recording for 21 days. And then I'll see them for something else, because who of us doesn't have, 5 to 10 things we want to work on in our lives, myself included. Absolutely. So that's just a little bit about the therapy. It's relatively new. I was the first rapid transformational therapist here in Calgary. I graduated in 2019, and it's been so phenomenal to work with people. And so it's relatively new, but people are starting to gain more and more of an understanding of how we can really hack into our mindset and really make transformational change and not have to go talk to a therapist about the same thing day in and day out for, X number of years. So I'm going to ask Lucinda maybe to I don't see cameras on, but I'm a little bit curious. And if people want to put it into the chat, great. But I'm just going to pose a couple of questions, because these things that we're looking at in terms of how we perceive our body, how we treat our body, they're very, very common experiences that I've seen with clients across the board, as well as friends, colleagues, family members. So I'm wondering if anyone's tried hypnotherapy ever. I'd love to see you throw a yes in the chat or not. I'm curious about that. I'm also curious if anyone out there has tried regular like therapy. I think that more and more, especially during these COVID times, a lot of people have been a little more, I think, higher levels of anxiety or some higher levels of stress. I'm curious if anybody on here has had issues with how they feel about their bodies, if they'd like to feel better being in their own skin. So these are just questions you can even let sit in your mind, because we are going to address these issues in a really positive and transformational way just at the end of this session. Curious too if people have had experiences with trying this diet or that diet, or seeing their weight go up and down. Who likes to go lingerie or bathing suit shopping for that matter? That's actually one thing. And I know I'm here at BraTopia and they have the most amazing staff and the most amazing, amazing products. But it's actually something that a lot of people dread, because they don't like to look at themselves in the mirror once they've put something on. And that's something that we can absolutely address and change with this. And, who's had struggles with just maintaining a consistent movement practice, something that you love to do to move your body? Because also, this isn't about exercise or working out. And I totally detest that language. Moving and activating our bodies and being in our bodies can be something that's really enjoyable and fun. And that's also something I'm going to work into this recording. We can retrain our minds to actually think that way. So just a few things for you maybe to consider. Consider how you look at these things. So, eating disorders and issues around body image, as I said, very, very common. And we've also I've heard a variety of reports, but I have heard somewhere between an average weight gain during this COVID time, where so many people are more stuck in their house or ordering takeout food, or, alcohol consumption's gone up quite a bit as well too. Eating disorders are something that are common. So I'm just going to go over the common types of eating disorders really briefly. And sorry, I thought I was just hearing something over there. So anorexia, really common. And typically in all of these eating disorders, they all have a psychological root cause to them. So anorexia, Marissa's worked with a ton of anorexics, and what she has discovered is often that underlying root cause often has something to do with not wanting to mature, to grow up, to move into adulthood, to have that kind of level of responsibility. It's almost a way to keep the body kind of prepubescent. Bulimia, I think we know what that is. That's when people will binge eat and then purge up what they've eaten. And often people will move from anorexia to bulimia, typically not from bulimia to anorexia. There's another eating disorder that has taken hold over the past few years. It's called orthorexia. And that is a real obsession with super clean eating. So I don't know if you know some people who are like, oh, I only eat organic, this or that, but people can become very obsessed with making sure they're only eating clean. And that in and of itself is a disorder and can actually wreak havoc with our minds and how we're dealing with ourselves in our lives on a day-to-day basis. Because if you're constantly thinking about that, it makes it difficult to enjoy life. And also body dysmorphia. That's when, I'm a relatively small person. So an example there would be if I were to look into a mirror and perceive myself as being, overweight. A lot of people don't see themselves as they, actually are, have really distorted views of themselves. And then there's also exercise compulsive. And that's, the types of people who are like, okay, well, I had this sandwich for lunch and it was X hundred calories. So now I need to go to the gym and I got to make sure I burn off the number of calories. And again, these are very, eating disorders can be really challenging for people, really make life difficult when eating and food and nutrition can be such a source of pleasure and joy and community. And if you're feeding your body really good fuel, it can be something you can eat healthy and eat well and eat super vital foods and eat to help your body, be lean and strong and healthy and really, really enjoy it. And that's what we do with RTT and what we do with hypnotic suggestions, getting your brain and mind excited about really nourishing and nurturing your body. So, and different eating types, often we've got emotional eaters. So that's like, think about maybe that stereotypical movie where, I broke up with this guy and now I want to eat a pint of Ben and Jerry's and binge on some chocolate. That emotions really driving kind of unhealthy eating habits. There's also purely addictive eaters. So sugar and fat in particular, and I'm going to talk about our wiring, they're highly, highly addictive. And some people do have a strong addiction and pull to sugars and fats. There's kind of an angry eater or a stress eater. So for those of us who like really crunchy foods or to be chewing often, kind of that more like grinding of your teeth, clenching of your jaw kind of thing, that's often an indicator of maybe some underlying feelings of anger and stress. There's people who are just really not educated and don't understand nutrition, how to make healthy food choices, because we learn so much. We learn so much from our family that we grow up with and our friends. And, not everybody is educated on what are kind of healthy, balanced choices. And then there's definitely people who will feast and binge at different points in time. So they'll maybe feast and binge on something and then almost not necessarily starve themselves, but it'll be kind of a sporadic thing. So, eating disorders and different types of eaters, all I can say to that is people do carry a lot of shame about issues with food and with their body. And I just want to say so many people have these issues, absolutely not alone. And even no matter what somebody looks like, somebody could be really, really lean and they could still look at themselves in the mirror and not see a beautiful body and a beautiful human reflected back to them. So you never know what somebody's issues are, but rest assured, many, many people do deal with food, body image, and not loving themselves and loving being in their body. And in fact, wishing we could be some other way. So what we want to do is make sure you don't wish you're some other way, is to get that feeling of really loving your own body. So rules of the mind, I want to highlight a few rules of the mind. So it's kind of, I think, common knowledge or it's kind of, I think, something that a lot of people tend to believe is that if we've had a long-standing issue or challenge or anything that's been maybe even potentially traumatic in our lives, that our minds are really complicated and it can take years of hard work and trying to figure it out and fix it to actually see a result. Actually, our minds are very, very simple. They're very simple machines. And when you kind of understand a few ways that the mind operates, it can help you change habits, change the way you think, change your habits of your pattern of thought and your pattern of belief, and then change your patterns of action. So the mind learns by repetition. That is number one rule to keep in mind. We have like 60,000 thoughts in a day, and often we're not even aware of them. And often they're very, very repetitive. And also often they're not very self-affirming or life-affirming. So just to be aware of that, the mind learns by repetition. So when we're trying to change something, we keep that in mind and we work with the repetition. That's why when I do this hypnotic suggestion, you'll see some things are repeated because the mind learns by repetition. And also a few of the hacks do have to do with repetition. Another one to remember is the mind responds to two things: words and pictures. It only responds to words and pictures. So some people have said to me, oh, I'm not a visual person. I can't close my eyes and visualize something. That doesn't matter because the words will create the pictures in your mind. You don't need to actually see it in your mind's eye. if you use the language that is descriptive, it will function in your mind to create that picture. So the idea is to put the right words and pictures in your mind. So I'll give you an example when it comes to food and habits. If you look at, let's say, a hardcore vegan, they're like, no meat, no way, no how. The picture of meat in a vegan's mind might be one of repulsion. They might see, oh my gosh, slaughtered animals. It's repulsive to them. You'd never have to convince a vegan to use, self-restraint to not eat meat, because the picture in their mind is of something that they're totally opposed to. So the key is if the picture is right, you'll want to have the food or the habit. And if the picture is wrong, you won't want to have it. So here's an example. Let's say you love to eat like jelly candies that have like gelatin in them. Well, jelly candies, if you think about it from the perspective of, because they do use animal hoofs to create that gelatin, if you rename that food item, pig's hooves, horse's hooves, it starts to create a picture in your mind that all of a sudden is not appealing. Here's another example. If you're at a restaurant, you order a meal, the waiter brings it by, it's looking really lovely. And then if you were to see him sneeze on your food, all of a sudden that picture would be very, very unappealing. So the key when we're looking at food and habits is to make the pictures for the things that we want to have really compelling and really, really positive. And also, our minds always want to stick with what's familiar to us. We are creatures of habit, by and large, hands down, creatures of habit. So the mind always wants to go for what's familiar and stay away from what's unfamiliar. So if we're looking at trying to change habits or have anything change in our lives, we need to start to make the unfamiliar familiar. But you can do that with things like hypnotic recordings, repetition to the mind, with the mind, things like that. So you can make things unfamiliar familiar. So here's an example. Let's say somebody who loves to have, a Starbucks double macchiato that's full of sugar, like I think there's something like 20 something teaspoons or tablespoons of sugar in those things. So tons of sugar. And then they try to get the sugar out of their lives. So they start to drink, let's just say, black coffee or with a little bit of cream. For a little while, in a few days, it's not going to taste that appealing to them. But if you do it a few days in a row, even a week in a row, all of a sudden, the coffee with just the cream and without that sugar becomes familiar. So we can make anything that is unfamiliar familiar. And so in terms of nutrition, easy to do that. So in terms of just food and habits, we're up against a lot. We've got a lot of challenges. There's a lot of challenges out there. So we are wired to crave sugar and fat. So way back in the day when we were like hunters and gatherers, food wasn't abundant. We didn't have 24-hour delivery like we do nowadays. We can't just go anywhere and pick up food. Like food is so at our fingertips. Back then, food was not plentiful. And so let's say you're a hunter-gatherer. If you found a fruit tree or if you found a source of honey, we were wired to gorge on it to get as many of those calories in as we possibly could. So we would try to gorge on it. And then number two, our minds would like make a map of exactly where we can go back and find it. So this wiring is very deep in us to crave sugar and fat. Also, if you, so we're craving sugar and fat, like starvation, that was how a lot of people died, hunter-gatherer days. But even as early back as 500 years ago, starvation was one of the main causes of human death. So this wiring goes deep in us. We are terrified of starvation at a very primal level. So you've probably had this kind of experience, if you do commute to work. Not everybody does nowadays, but let's say you finish your work day, you've got a 40-minute commute ahead of you, and you're starting to get hungry. Well, the words can start to maybe come up in your mind, oh my God, I'm starving. And it actually ignites something in us to seek high calorie something as soon as possible. That's why people often easily just, shove a chocolate bar in, want to gorge on some chips, get something in so fast, because we're actually hardwired to be concerned that we're going to starve. But we can talk to our minds and actually say to ourselves, because we know we have food at home, we know we might have a beautiful chicken dinner waiting for us with some nice vegetables. We can say, I'm hungry. I'm absolutely not going to starve, pardon me. And so we're going to wait the 45 minutes to get home and have that beautiful, delicious, nutritious dinner that's waiting for me. So we can talk ourselves down from that kind of primal fear of starvation level that we get to, and we come by it very, very naturally. And you know what else too? There's no food in the natural environment that has a combination of sugar and fat together, except for a mother's breast milk. So, places like coffee shops, and I will say like a Starbucks, that have the really creamy, really sugary drinks, we are of course going to want to go back for more and more. It's like a regressive action, that comfort, that, deep memory in us of having that mother's milk. But, we're not really meant to drink milk from the time we, finish being a baby and require that from our mothers. But, food companies have it figured out. And that's the other thing that we're up against. Food companies understand psychology. You think about the ideas that have been built around chocolate, like, oh, it's blissful, the languaging around it. There have been connections with, chocolate being, better than sex, for example. So food companies understand marketing, they understand psychology, they create, they use words and they use pictures to make food seem appealing, like McDonald's Happy Meal. Like McDonald's isn't even real food. There's nothing about that's going to make you happy. So food companies really know this. So just being aware of that, the language that's used, Swiss chocolate. Like, what if I were to say to you, let's have some Ethiopia, like, a country that's where there seems to be lack or not, so beautiful, like you'd have a different picture of it. So food companies have it figured out. And frankly, a lot of them have the profit motive and want us coming back for more and more. So that's working against us. And also culturally speaking, for women and even more and more for men in the age of social media and 24/7 television and everybody on our screens, we're constantly getting messages about be better, be thinner, you're not quite good enough as you are. There's this program for that program for that. So we are being bombarded with many, many messages that, not shockingly so, might make us feel not so wonderful about ourselves. So we do have some things stacked against us, but frankly, that doesn't matter, because once you understand these things, and if you really want to do something and make some healthy changes for yourself, there's a lot you can do. You can use repetition, repetition, repetition. So something like a hypnotic recording with the suggestions that you want to take on, listen to things over and over again. And I will say the root cause of most people's issues, and Marissa has discovered this in her 36 years of treating people, and I see it now with clients, working in this therapy since 2019, is people thinking that they're not enough, that they're somehow different, and that what they want is not available to them. So these are typically the root core issues, but feeling not enough is the really, really big one. And Marissa, this is Marissa's idea. She has a whole book about this, but it really, really rings true because the mind works by repetition. She suggests people write on your mirror in lipstick or an erasable marker, I am enough. Your passcodes for your phone, for your computer. Repetition, give yourself the message as many times as you possibly can, typing something in visually up in front of you. Remind yourself as many times as you can that you are enough, because you really are enough. We've got a lot of messaging out there that's, saying that's not so, but you can really use repetition with the mind. So repetition, repetition, repetition. The other thing to do is change the language. So, I talked about the words and the pictures and looking at foods. So if you have some foods that you maybe want to start to, not go to so often, think about an association, an associative word that would create a picture that would make it really unappealing for you. So let's say, for example, you have an addiction to like Diet Coke that's full of aspartame. What if you started to call that, Alzheimer's in a can? Like, just look at those things that you maybe want to not go to so much, create a picture around them that's just not so appealing. And that can help your mind start to change how it perceives whatever it is, that food that you're going for. So change your language. Also, just really quick food hacks: out of sight, out of mind. We've all heard that phrase. It's actually true. If you see something, you're like 75% more likely to eat it. That's why, in restaurants, and some restaurants, they'll roll around a dessert tray or have beautiful photos of whatever it is that they're, trying to get you to eat. When people have candy bowls sitting out on the table, they're more likely to go back, or, bowls with chips and snacks like that. And if you think about it from this perspective, that would almost be like, if you do have a problem with sugar or fat and you want to kind of get away from it, that almost be like an alcoholic having a bottle of bourbon or wine sitting on their cupboard, just going, oh, well, it's here in case I have guests. So out of sight, out of mind actually does work. And when you're looking at food choices, we have the 4 R's. So 4 R's is a really good way to remember this. So does it roam or grow on the planet? So does it roam or grow on the planet? That could be a litmus test. Does it rot? Will this food eventually go off? Because we do want to stay away from processed foods, because frankly, processed foods are jam-packed with sugar. And sugar is highly addictive. It's not even really, processed sugar is not even really a food group. So does it roam? Will it rot? Do I recognize the ingredients? So if you're picking up something at the grocery store, just look at the ingredients list. And if you start to see words that look like they're in a different language almost, and you have no idea what they are, it's typically not something that's going to be really vital and healthy for your body. So can't recognize it. And then, is it raw? Could I eat it raw? Technically, you wouldn't want to eat certain meats raw. You could eat them raw, or raw veggies, grains would be difficult to eat raw, but you could eat those raw. So could I eat this raw? Is it raw? And then also, can I recreate this? I like this one. Can I recreate this in the kitchen? So, I live by Urban Fare. They have a guacamole there. I can see on the guacamole package that they're using like 4 ingredients, all of which I could make in my own kitchen. So those are kind of good litmus tests. Does it roam? Does it rot? Do I recognize this? Could I eat it raw? And then also we have added a 5th. Can I recreate this? And also just try to slow down your eating if at all possible. Trying to keep your window of eating within an 8-hour period can be really helpful. And it's not to starve yourself, but it is basically to give your digestive system a rest. All of our systems need rest and digest time. And, a lot of people talk about intermittent fasting, and, from kind of the more well-known functional medicine doctors out there, they do suggest keeping your eating window within like an 8-hour time frame. It allows your digestive system just to rest, to rejuvenate, and then to more readily process foods. And also mental hacks that we can use: change the language that you're using to describe food, change the language that you're using to describe yourself. Try to get in the habit of looking in the mirror and either having "I'm enough" written there, or just try to notice, even take like half an hour in a day. Notice the thoughts that are running through your mind, and even try to write down some alternative thoughts. If the thoughts are popping up that you notice, just take a little time to notice. You can rewrite over those thoughts. And use your imagination. So I am going to hop into the hypnotic suggestion. And I know this is a lot of information. And Lucinda, I'm so glad that you're recording this and can send this out to people. And people can also reach out to me for more resources. But what I'm going to take you through is just a little bit of an experience of a guided meditation. So here's where I'm going to cue people to, if you can, get comfortable and have your head supported, and so you're nice and relaxed. So I'm just going to walk us down into a little bit of a meditation, and I'm going to give you some suggestions to take on. And just remember too, you would never ever take on a suggestion that you didn't want to have. So I'm going to talk about things like looking at yourself and being so happy to be in your body, being so happy to be yourself, seeing pounds that don't belong on you easily melt away, seeing yourself eating nutritious, vital food, and also seeing yourself moving your body and enjoying it. So they're going to be kind of basic suggestions, things I can't imagine anybody would ever be opposed to. So what we're going to do is, if you're in a comfortable spot now, keeping your head exactly where it is with your eyes open, I want you to roll your eyeballs up as if you're looking into a spot in your own forehead. And you're going to take a deep breath in through your nose, and you're going to release through your mouth. And keeping your eyes open and eyeballs rolled up, take a second deep breath in through your nose. And you're going to release it fully through your mouth. That's excellent. And now you're going to take a third deep breath in through your nose. You're going to hold it at the top of the inhale for a touch longer. And then as you exhale, your eyelids are going to come right down. Your eyelids come down. You notice a fluttering sensation. That is perfect. So your eyelids are closed. You notice that fluttering, and just allow a bit of a drifting, floating feeling to come over your body. That's perfect. And so now you're going to drop your chin just a fraction. So you get that looking down sensation as if you're looking down a flight of 10 steps. And as I count down, you're going to see your feet, you're going to hear your feet, and you're going to feel your feet treading each step as you sink deep. So right now you're moving on to step 10, and every muscle and nerve is going loose and limp and lazy. Now you're taking step 9, and you see your feet treading each step, and you sink deeper. You're taking step 8, and you can hear your feet making contact with each step, and you go deeper. You're taking step 7, and you feel your feet treading each step, go deeper. You're taking step 6, and every sound, every noise, every movement around you carries you deep into hypnosis. You're taking step 5, you're halfway down, go deeper. You're taking step 4, and every muscle, every nerve is loose, limp, and lazy. You're taking step 3, going deep into an awareness of yourself. Now you're taking step 2, going deeper into your own internal state. And now you're taking step 1, and you just go deeper. You drift deeper, and you sink deeper. That is perfect. And as you go deeper, you know that you're listening with your subconscious mind. And you also know that you are so incredibly suggestible in this relaxed state of hypnosis. And you know that understanding is power. And you know that understanding under hypnosis is the most liberating, transforming power that there is. So when it comes to how you feel about your body and the eating habits that you have and the activities that you undertake, you're able to look at anything from your past that may have impacted what your beliefs are about yourself and how you've decided to treat your body or treat yourself or look at yourself. And you can understand just how and why maybe some of those old ideas, old beliefs, or old scenes have caused you to maybe do things that aren't life affirming, that don't help you love yourself truly. But you do know that your beliefs are yours to change. And under hypnosis, under this deep relaxation, you know that you are transforming how you feel about yourself, how you feel in your body, how you nurture and nourish your body. And you know that any past habits that you had are now gone. They're so far gone away. It's as if you've stepped into the shower, and any of those old beliefs, old habits are getting washed down the drain. And even if you wanted to get them back, you could not, because they are so far gone away from you. And you are having a massive, massive upgrade. You are starting right now to love your body, to love yourself, to know that you are enough, that you always have been enough, and that you always will be enough. You know that this is taking hold right now as you hear my voice, and my voice goes with you, and you know I am enough. I've always been enough, and I always will be enough. And I absolutely love my body. I absolutely love being me. And so you are noticing this newfound feeling of love for your body, of love for yourself. You notice this new confidence. And you also notice that you make life affirming, self sustaining choices for yourself that give you vitality, that nourish you, that make you feel good, that make you feel full of joy and vitality in your body. You do good things for yourself. You love doing good things for yourself. You see yourself eating really super nutritious, high quality protein, lots of vegetables, lots of different colors, all foods that are whole, all foods that give you the energy that you need to do the important work that you're here to do. Energy that feeds every cell in your body, feeds your muscles, and keeps you healthy, vital, and strong. Well balanced, very colorful, full of beautiful vegetables, high quality, whole foods. This is what you love to eat. This is how you love to eat. You are drawn to the healthiest, most nutritious foods that give you vitality, strength, and feel so amazing for your body. And as you do these good things for your body, you notice your body doing good things for you. You notice that you're sleeping better. You notice that your energy level is so high. It's as if every single one of the 50 trillion cells in your body are just energized and operating perfectly. You are perfectly digesting all of the delicious, nutritious food that you bring into your body. And in turn, your body is easily digesting, easily using this excellent fuel that you're feeding it. And you're full of energy, of vitality, and you feel so strong. You feel so healthy. You feel so energized. And you notice yourself looking in the mirror and all of a sudden feeling, oh my God, I absolutely love being in this body. I am so happy that I'm in this body. I love my body. You look at yourself in the mirror and your automatic thought pattern is, I love being me. I am enough and I've always been enough. And you also notice that as you do these amazing things for your body, as you nourish and nurture your body, and it's doing great things for you, it's giving you good sleep, perfect digestion, excellent energy. You also notice any pounds that don't belong with you just start to melt away. They just simply start to melt away. Any pounds that don't belong with your body just melt away easily and effortlessly. And you notice more muscle definition, greater strength, greater vitality. You see yourself holding yourself tall, your chest open, your shoulders back, your chin high, and you feel super strong, super energized, very, very confident and proud to be in your body, proud to be you. You know that you constantly, it is your habit of action to do things for yourself that are loving, that are life affirming, that are kind, because you love your body, you love being you, you know that you're enough and that you always have been enough. And so seeing yourself moving your body in ways that you just love, whether it's running, hiking, walking, stretching, dancing, whatever it might be, you see yourself nurturing your body and your body doing so many good things for you. and you feel very connected. And you know that each and every system in your body, especially your digestion, working perfectly. And it is your habit of action to feed your body the most nourishing, healthy foods. And you're very tuned in with your digestion. So you know when you're satiated, you know when you're full. And you only eat to that point when you're about 80% full. And your body loves you. Your body thanks you for this. This feels so good. So you feel this, you see it. And it's as if you can taste it and touch it. And so feeling this joy of being in your body, feeling this proud feeling that you have because you know that you are doing good things for yourself, loving your body, loving yourself. I'm going to count you back to awareness. And so on the count of 1, you'll just notice how the air feels on your skin. On the counts of 2 and 3, you're going to just wiggle your fingers and wiggle your toes. On the count of 4, you're going to take a deep breath in through your nose. And on the count of 5, you're going to open your eyes, feeling wonderful and feeling amazing. Well done. So I can't see everybody's face here, but that was just a little bit of a taste of, what we do, part of what we do in a rapid transformational therapy session. So I do, after like a 90-minute session, give people their own bespoke recordings to take away to help code in and rewire whatever kind of changes they're trying to make in their lives, whether it has to do with their food choices or quit smoking or feel more confident or whatever. So we go into this relaxed state and we create a vivid picture for the mind to work with. So that was just a little bit of a taste of it. I could see Lucinda there. I don't know if she wants to let me know how that might have felt for her. If anybody wants to type into the chat, how was that for you? Or what did you notice about that?
I felt relaxing, totally relaxing. I was like, I really, I think so. Was like, I was not 100% doing, but
yeah. Well, I know because your head couldn't be relaxed. But you know what, too, even if it's not to change any habits, I think there's been a lot of talk about meditation over the past few years. Even just getting into that brainwave state is really healthy for your body, just to give you a little bit of a let's just like
relaxing.
let's like relax and let's just like wind it down a little bit. So, I know I packed a lot of information in here, and it's not even close. I could talk about this until I'm blue in the face and for hours and hours and hours. I just, the couple of things I want to leave people with. And if people want to reach out, I think my contact might be in the email that you send out, Lucinda, with the recording, so people could listen to this. But, I think the things I really want to leave you with is we can change habits. Like, okay, so I worked with a guy who is in his 70s and he wanted to, shed some weight, and he was constantly eating after 7 p.m. and he tried, and he is a very successful businessman and had put a lot of money into it and tried a lot of different things. And after our session and him listening to his recording for like 3 days, he said, "Oh, I noticed, I think some weight's coming off." And then he said, "Oh, I'm not eating after 7 p.m. He's in his 70s, and it had been his habit pretty much his entire life to be snacking late at night. So, we may think if something's been with us, oh, I'm too old to make that change, or it's going to be too hard. It's absolutely not true. I work with people it's never too late. Our minds do really respond. There are ways to hack in there. And I mean, everybody, it's not about being skinny or thin or looking a certain way. It definitely is healthier if we're not carrying extra weight. There's definitely a health component to it, but it can be enjoyable and pleasurable to have healthy habits, to see weight that we don't want with us come off and then feel vital. So it is really possible for people. And I think that's kind of what I want to leave you with. It's possible. We can hack in there. There's so many ways to do it. RTT, hypnotherapy can be one way. There's a lot of different ways too. So That's what I'll leave everyone with. Lucinda, I don't know if you have any questions there, or if there's anything else
Thank
you'd
you,
like me to
thank
add.
you, Lynn. It was amazing. Actually, I would like, maybe you can share with the people we have here. They can visit your link, the website. Probably we can put in the recording as well, and they can
Yes.
visit. They can email you if they have questions. Please feel free.
Mhm.
And yeah, I would like to say thank you to all of participants here. And this amazing event has a little gift as well, as a
Oh.
code discount for everybody, only for participants, 20% off. You must use Love Your Body code. You can use online at BraTopia or at the store as well. Okay. And yeah, please feel free. Anything you want to know, you can email us at info@bratopia.ca as well. Our clients, our people is here. And yeah, Link, anything, any advice for your website for getting in contact with you?
Absolutely. So my website is my name. So it's Lynn, Lynn, and there's 2 C's, Lynn C, COX.com. So it's my name. There's 2 C's in there for my middle initial. So LynnCcox.com. I do believe it'll hopefully be in that email that you send out. Yeah, people can reach out to me. I'm quite responsive. I take my phone number is there, so people can text message me. There's a form on my website, but feel free to reach out if you have any questions. I do have a few recordings people can download on my website, the online store. I also take questions. I happily talk to people who are considering having any kind of a session. So really happy just to talk with people to explore if RTT would be a therapy that, you know, would be something that would work for them. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And thanks, Link. Thank everybody. I just want to mention additional, we have 20% discount in all bras, like sport bras for this comfortable sporting or meditation, yoga, whatever's better for you, works better for you. And thank you, Link, for amazing information. And I enjoy it really. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me, and thanks for everybody who hopped on. It was a real pleasure. It's always a joy for me to talk about this with people and hopefully give you some food for thought, no pun intended. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Oh yeah, there is some questions, or no questions, comments. For example, it's coming from Jennifer. Jennifer said, no hypnotherapist, but other forms, the therapist. She did a difference, yeah.
Okay.
And Jorge, I love shopping at BraTopia lingeries, of course. Please feel free. Our favorite and recommend for kind of sporting yoga or meditation is our Anita brand and Prima Donna as well. But you can shop any bras, sport bras is 20% off with Love Your Body code, okay? Thank you. That's we don't have. Thank you all of you. And amazing evening. Take care and see you soon. In January, we have another event. See you soon. Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you. Bye. Have a good night. Bye.